On November 21st, 2016, Kiana Davis 11, Kiara Phillips 9, Carrie L. MacDonald 7, and Kiani Welch 5 were tragically killed in a house fire at 103 East Columbia Street in Flora.
County, send tones. Keep sending off tones, please. We still got 4 kids inside. We can't get inside.
A couple of months after the deadly fire, investigators confirmed they found accelerants in the home. The house at the corner of Columbia and Division Streets has burn marks on the siding, broken windows, has boarded up doors, and justice nowhere in sight. Family members are still confident the person responsible will be found. They want the arsonist caught so their family can find peace. Anyone with information on the Flora fire is urged to contact the tip line at 1-800-382-4628 or visit the Indiana State Police website. Check the description of this video for more details. Thank you. Alrighty guys, welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. My name is Patrick Vallejos. I am your host. We are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Today we are looking into the Flora murders. I don't think I'm going to be referring to it as the Flora fires. What we're looking at here is the murder of 4 children. It's good to see everybody. Mustang. Random question. Do you ever started a live and there was not anyone in chat? Yeah, all the time. All the time. Boston, good to see you. Cindy. Metal Mama Michelle. Thin Mint. Jill Moser. Hiawatha, good to see you. Tamara says the Flora 4. Beth Gonzalez. Hiawatha says justice for the Flora 4 angels. I titled the live stream, Will We See Justice? Should have been, Will We Ever See Justice? I really don't know if they're still investigating this. I don't know if they're still generating leads. I really don't know. All I know is that this case does need as much attention as possible. I think we're going to break this down in a few different parts. We're going to go over the basic facts surrounding what happened with Flora. We're going to look at the psychology behind arson. We'll look at other cases, and then we'll look at the curious case of Joseph W. Smith Jr. out of Kokomo. We'll ask the question, could he be tied to this? And we'll spend the rest of the time discussing the facts surrounding this tragic case. Miss Mollis says, another tragic, confusing case with all kinds of rumors. So sad. Going to take someone to open their mouth one day. Yeah, somebody knows something, right? And I don't know if they even have a suspect. I don't know if they have persons of interest. I've heard them state that. Good to see you, Boston Christian. Tamara, welcome to members. Welcome to the Sleuth crew. Glad to have you. Make sure everybody, you make Tamara feel at home. Hiawatha says, they tell us that it is an open investigation, and that's why we can't hear the 911 calls. That's bullshit. That should be freedom of information right there. They released the body cam. Or the dash cam. They didn't have body cams at the time. Finally, someone talking about it. I hope you have the cops dash cam video. Yes, Lily, we're going to watch that. It is very disturbing, so keep that in mind. Jerry, good to see you. Welcome in, Beth. Jill says Galen is a very strong, beautiful woman. I've had the pleasure of meeting Galen. She's a great person. And it was a pleasure talking with her. Actually, I was hanging out with her over at the Curious Contrarian channel. My guy Dan. So shout out to the Curious Contrarian. I wonder what it is about the 911 calls. I mean, what could they possibly have that the dash cam does not have? Thank you, Lily. Ramblin' Rome, what's up? Miss Mala says it cannot fathom losing one child, much less four, all at once and in such a shocking way. I mean, there's no way it will ever sink in, right? It's like from that moment on, you're just living in some kind of weird nightmare. All right, let's go to the press conference. I think that might be a good place to start. But once again, we have the same players in Delphi. We got Doug Carter. At one point, they were trying to point the finger at Galen. Then they cleared her. I mean, it's just chaos.
Since the Flora fire.
Yes.
The family has expressed some concern.
Can you guys hear that okay?
They feel like they've been getting enough information and that there's not been a whole lot of movement that they can see or have even been told about.
Yeah.
What can you say about the status of this investigation and where it stands right now?
Sure, it's a good question.
Thank you, Tamara.
We tend to be a bit frustrated as well. There are some pieces and parts of any investigation that we obviously can't share with family members. There'll come a time that we can. It's going to be important as we continue to move forward.
Same talking points.
With the Flora investigation, that we have complete unfettered access to all family members. And until that time comes, there are going to be deltas in information that we have. Now, please remember that we are tasked and the system is developed and built for law enforcement to act on what they know, not what they think.
Bullshit.
And there are very, very clear guidelines as to what we do and why. So there are going to be times that we can't explain to families what we know or what we think, because the information that we might.
You know, they didn't take that approach with Becky and Mike. You know, they invited him right in. They did Dr. Phil. They went on talk shows. They went to CrimeCon. You know, it just seems so different.
Share with them would only be known to the person that set that fire or that killed an individual or whatever that might be. And you've been around a long time, and I think you know exactly what I'm talking about there. There are some things we just simply can't talk about. But we have flown all over the country. We've accepted tips from all over Indiana.
It's a good question, Tamara.
To those places where those tips have come to us, up to and including Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, California, to talk to people that might have some information. It's very, very important that we understand who's been at that house, who had been at the house, what those dynamics were of those people that did visit the home. And right now, we don't know what those answers are.
So I guess then just to dovetail on that, I understand that there are some things that you can't tell, but do you think the ISP
Dovetail, I like that.
The type of presence that is necessary to bring forth those kinds of tips? I know they have specifically compared this case to the Delphi case. They're different cases.
Very
but
different.
Still, you've been on national TV talking about the Delphi case, the things that you could talk about.
Mm-hmm.
There are updates periodically,
Mhm.
and we've just not seen that in this particular.
It's because we
case.
don't have access to the whole family, Sandra. We have to sit down and have unfettered, complete,
What he's trying to say is, in a roundabout way, is that they're not cooperating with him.
completely transparent, honest conversation with everybody that had access to that home for the weeks, months, and days up to that day where those 4 beautiful girls were killed. That's why. That's why. And I think that there will come a time when we will be able to share more with you.
Oh God.
I wish I could share with you today what I know, but I'm not going to. And I'll take the criticism for that.
I'll take the criticism. That's his job. He's there to get in front of the investigation and bullshit the media. Same talking points. I wonder at what point he's going to say the word complex, right? Oh, this is a very complex case. I wish one day I can, one day I'll be able to share this information with you.
That. Because again, there's only a few people that understand the dynamics of that home, who was there, what was happening there, who got along, who didn't, and we don't know what those are. We just simply don't know. And we need to.
Superintendent, you said
Yeah, but there's other avenues.
for unfiltered access to all family members, unfettered. Unfettered.
That's Rafael
Unfettered
Sanchez.
access to all family members. What does that mean?
Well, I developed a relationship with Jackie the aunt. I had tried to introduce myself to the little girl's mom at one of the anniversaries. We've now been through 2 of those, and I've been to both of them. And it's going to be important that we sit down and not me, of course, the detectives that have given so much of this, and so much of their lives to these little girls that nobody knows about, but I do, and I'm so proud of them. But they sit down and have an open, honest, candid conversation about the days and months leading up to that dreaded day. That's important. That is important. And it's going to be important to the conclusion of this case. And it's going to be important that we're able to identify.
This was September 16th, 2022. There's another presser that happened in 2016. We can play that if you guys want to as well. This one's just very interesting. This, so much time has passed and they're still basically saying like we haven't done anything. And they're putting it off on people not cooperating. But if they don't have any suspects, they should be finding out who was in the area. I just feel like they're not doing any investigation. They're just waiting for people to present them with the information. They're not digging for information. They're waiting, they're sitting and kind of like, oh, well, give us the information and then we'll put it all together. Well, when are you going to do an actual investigation?
Some of the deltas or disconnects of what we believe now versus what we'll need to know in the event of a prosecution. And I hope that one day there is. That's what I mean by unfettered.
And when you mean unfettered, sir, so you still need to speak to 10 more? I know you don't have to get into specifics, but is it a number of people that you still need to speak to
Lily.
that portion of the unfetteredness wrapped up?
Yes, I think that number is more than one. Anybody that would have had access to that home or to those little girls, or to their mom, or to the dad, or the dads of these little girls, and we've hit stumbling blocks there.
How many times have you had a person of interest in this case?
It's a good question.
I don't think I can tell you a number of times. I believe that we probably identify people that we need to corroborate what they're telling us. But there's no number of times. If there were numbers of times, I would have told you.
But is there?
Oh, welcome in, none of your business. Oh yeah.
I think that we could close
Very
our eyes and
upsetting.
look back on what we know now, and very likely say yes. But that's as far as I'm going to go with that.
You put a time frame on it. Why now are you saying that you close your eyes and now what you know now, looking back, you think you do?
I guess I don't understand your question.
Well, you kind of put a time frame on saying that what you know now. So as if some time has passed and some other new information has come forward that now you can say.
Yep,
that
Hiawatha.
you have a person
New
of
information is
interest.
coming to us pretty regularly.
It's time for them to go to the beginning again.
But we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about what we're hearing and what we're being told. We have to get access to the entire family, period.
What's up,
Are
big
family members
fish?
not cooperating? Has that been the challenge for why you guys can't get
We-
access?
We've not been able to sit down with them and have that conversation.
Why?
I don't know.
So they're not cooperating?
They've not offered themselves to sit down with us and talk about the issues that I've mentioned previously.
I would imagine, sir, that you'd be open, I mean, this is an invitation, I would imagine.
Those detectives will fly anywhere in the nation, anywhere in the world, to meet with these family members, to sit down and talk about what they know and what they did up to and including that day.
So all they have to do is call.
All they have to do is call. We'll be there.
The investigators and make the arrangements, and you'll follow through with the appropriate.
Yes, we've been to California, but that did not ultimately end up in an interview.
My understanding was that you were at a family member's home right after they moved out there and spoke with.
There was a single family member that we were able to talk to, but that's all. That's not why we went out there.
So are you saying the mother of these girls is not talking to Indiana State Police?
We would love to sit down with the mother and talk to her.
Is this because of the legal issues that are going on?
I'm not a lawyer, Sandra. I don't know.
But she's refused to speak.
She has not sat down and talked to us. I
And you
wish
guys
she
have
would.
asked her?
I'm sorry?
And you guys have asked her?
We have. We flew to California to try and get that done.
Superintendent, you mentioned that you've flown to other states. You mentioned Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, California. In those cases, sir, was that to gather evidence or to talk to people? Can you give us a global perspective as to the cases?
I can't, but what I can tell you generically, as you all have heard me say many times before, some of these cases are based solely on evidence and scientific ability, right? But let's not lose sight of the human piece of these. It's important that we have human beings talk to us about what they knew or even what they think. And that's important, particularly in an arson case. So comparing one case to another simply is completely unfair. They're very, very, very different. I just hope so much that one day I can explain to you what happened.
Oh my God.
Superintendent, I know that, again, evidence is crucial no matter what case you're working on, but in some cases you have said, we're looking for this car, we're looking for this, we're looking for, in some cases you're fortunate enough to have a sketch or two sketches, what have you. There's nothing in this case that you all can put out in the public and say, here's what else we need to know. We need you to come forward and help us with maybe this part of it.
Every investigation standard starts with a nucleus, whether that be a place, a car, a room, a residence, an apartment, a business, a church, a family. That's where they start.
Yes, Mustang.
And
I think there was 3 different families living there, renting different
we've not
parts of
lightened
the
up on
home.
this even one iota since it began. Not one iota.
Hey, Ron.
Gosh, I wish you could see these specifically 2 detectives that have just committed their lives to this. But we can't talk about every week what they've done and what they do. And until we have those real conversations and are able to sit down face to face, because everything prior to that day is important. It's very,
Waiting for him
very
to say
important.
complex. Let's see if he says it.
I hope one day we'll be able to do that. And again, we'll go anywhere in this country to see that it's done.
How many family members are you trying to talk to, or people that were there before? Or
All I can say is any family member, friend, acquaintance, or relative that might have had access to that home and those that came and went, we want to talk to.
is that the biggest hurdle you guys are facing now in this investigation?
Yes.
Having candid conversations
Yes.
with the girl's mother and other friends, acquaintances.
Everybody
No,
that
they were home.
identified. Yes.
Is there any evidence at this point that continues to solidify your ruling that this was deliberately set? I mean, does this evidence provide anything else that you all can work on?
I can't talk about the study, the evidence that we have, but I can tell you that we stand on the earlier information that we believe it was absolutely arson. And we
That
still
wasn't
are-
early
We
information.
still believe that it was arson, intentionally so.
Do you believe whoever did intentionally set this knows the family or has some connection to the family.
Very likely. But again, it is a subjective opinion, and I just offered mine to you. But I believe so. I do not believe this was targeted.
Blinders.
Is there motivation?
That's what we need to learn. That's what we need to understand that we don't understand today.
It's very complex.
You believe it was targeted,
I do not believe the family was targeted.
but you believe whoever said this did know the family.
Or was it
Had
in
type
some
of
way?
Connection.
Very likely. Very likely.
That doesn't make any
But certainly
sense.
nothing is conclusive right now until we're done.
They were just playing with gas and a
When you
lighter,
talk about needing
an
to talk
accelerant.
with the family, has anyone been ruled out?
We need to talk with the family.
So
Answer
no,
the
no
fucking
one's been
question.
ruled out.
No. You know, and I'll add to that just a little bit of narrative.
Let me go to Thin Mint's question. The other people in the house were home sleuth. Yes, I believe there was multiple people renting different rooms in the home. I think they were all home. But unfortunately, the girls lived upstairs, and the way the fire, it looks like the way the fire kind of spread throughout the home, it blocked that stairway, and even the mother couldn't get up the stairway.
I mentioned earlier when we started, we have right and left limits and boundaries within law and what our Constitution allows for us to do.
And I do believe if the fire department would have gotten there when they were supposed to, the girls may still be alive. So, I mean, that's definitely going to affect a mother's willingness to talk with the same people that could have but did not save her children.
It's very easy to come up with a subjective opinion based on what people think, but not on what they know. And shame on us if we ever do that. I hope you'll, and I think that you will, you'll hold us completely accountable. So again, any criticism that we receive for not releasing information is on me.
It's on
and
me.
I'll take that every single day.
That's his
every single
job.
day.
His job is to
Because
take
what
the
will happen
criticism.
if I don't is if we start giving opinions, what if they're not right? Then you're going to.
Okay, so he's already given his opinion that it wasn't targeted and that it's somebody that the family knows, right? So which is it? You can't give your opinion, or you can?
Come back to us and say, well, that's not, Superintendent, what you said. So I try very hard not to put us in that position. If it's bad within the ISP, it comes to me.
That's his job.
And I'll stand out in front of it and hold people accountable. But I will also defend them until my last day if I believe they're doing the right thing. And I could write a book based upon what I've learned in Carroll County, Indiana, and in the region around Carroll County, Indiana, and in the state of Indiana, and nationally. And I didn't reach out.
Miss Mollis says, sorry to not know yet. Don't worry, we're learning about the case, and we'll learn more as it goes. But where did the fire start? I believe there's a garage that's in the back, and we'll look at the photos of the home. I believe somebody came in through the back door. I'm not exactly sure where the accelerant was, but I did read an article where there was a trail of fire kind of leading to the back door that leads to the garage. And I guess when you walk right in through that back door, the staircase is right there to the right. So I don't know if somebody dumped some kind of accelerant. I don't know if it was gasoline. I don't know what it was. But I believe some of the first responders did see a trail. And early on in the case, they tried to say that it was an arson. So if they didn't have other folks looking into this case, we wouldn't even be looking at this as a murder.
To Megan Kelly or Dr. Phil to go see them. They reached out to me. So all of those things that have happened over this course of time, while we don't have a conclusion, I promised my dad
Tentacle
one time ago I
Doug.
would become cynical, and I'm going to believe that we're going to come to a conclusion here. And I'm not going to allow these decisions, whether they be in Delphi or Flora or anywhere else in Indiana,
Yep.
to taint what we do as a profession or what we do as a people. I'm just not. So I hope I made myself very clear there. I've tried very, very hard.
You've never
to
been
be
clear,
accessible
Doug.
to you all, but I'm not going to talk about what I think. I'm going to talk about what I know.
So what do you say to a mother who is grieving the
I don't know,
loss of
Tamara.
4 children you're saying that her family is not clear that.
We'll have to get Galen
they
on and
would
ask
be
her these
persons
questions.
Of interest or people that you're looking at for 2.5 years and you have no other answers. How is that family supposed to deal with what they have in front of them as far as
There's a
trying
motive,
to
Tamara.
understand what happened to their girls?
Well, the first thing I would never do is say that I understand, because I've not lost 4 children, nor have you. So I'm not going to do that. I'm a guy of tremendous empathy and emotion. And I cannot imagine what she's going
Hey,
through,
Rescue.
what that family has had to endure. I cannot imagine. But what I will not do is allow that emotion to make us do something that we know we shouldn't do in the investigative strategy or in the investigation or the development of the investigation. That's what I'm not going to do. So again, I'm hurt that they think we haven't done anything. But again, I'll take the criticism because we're doing the right things. We are doing the right things and we'll continue to do that. But Sandra, it's a good question. I wish I had the answer. I see death, dying, destruction, hurt, pain, and sorrow every day of my life.
Yeah, I don't know, Hiawatha.
So does your husband. Every single day. We see it and we deal with it. And we wish we could wave a wand and sit down with a mom or a dad. And I've done it so many times I've forgotten and tried to explain to them what happened to their loved one. And sometimes there's no criminal process. But when there is, that strategy has got, or the nucleus of that investigation has to be at ground zero. It has to be. And if there is, and it's complex like this one is, like many of them, others are around Indiana, we're going to do things and know things and hear things and talk about things that the family's not going to be able to know about.
But is there anything that you will do different going forward as far as even updating the public about this case? Will that change? Because right now, I don't think we have been able to talk with you about this case since the anniversary, which was last November.
And we haven't been able to talk to people either. So we're at a bit of a stalemate, aren't we?
I'm just saying, is there
If there was
going
new
to be anything
information,
different?
if there was new information, you'll see me again. You'll, I promise you'll see me again. But what I'm not going to do is speculate. So if there is substantial information,
You've already done that.
information of substance that comes to this case or to this community, I assure you it will come out. We're not hiding anything, and any inference that we are is simply inappropriate and wrong.
Superintendent, can you clarify something you said earlier? You were asked about a person of interest. I want to make sure that I leave this room with clarity and accuracy.
Yeah.
Is there a person of interest?
Everybody is until they're not, Raphael, right? Everybody is until they're not. Same as you've asked me in Delphi, and media outlets from around the country have asked me there. Everybody is until they're not. And again, the information that we have got to have is what were the relationships of people that regularly came to that home and why. And that's as far as I'll go explaining it. But everybody is until they aren't.
And sir, just and also for clarity's sake, so that people can't say, well, they haven't called us, so we don't know who to contact. Those people that you need to speak to, I'm asking for a phone number at this moment, but can we get a number or detective's number that if they need to call? Is it the arson hotline number? What do they call?
They can call both detectives from Lafayette Post. They've already have been in contact with them. Our website, the arson hotline. Many of the family members have my personal cell number. They can call me.
Is that what you're asking for in this case?
There are several ways for them to reach the ISP. And if they can't reach anyone and they want to call me or they want to call me first, they have my number.
And you'll take those calls?
Oh, 100% of the time.
Have you sat down with the mother since the day of the fire?
I tried to introduce myself at the personally. I have not. But
Your detectives.
oh yes, they have. They have.
So let's clarify. So the detectives have sat down with the mother and spoken.
They have had conversation and communication with the mother. That's as far as I'll go.
Well, which is
So
it?
what is it then that you're saying that she has not done? You said that you needed to.
They need to talk
I like these
extensively
reporters.
about the days leading up to and previous to the fire.
And just to again, so that if people ask, have all of the family members in the Delphi case been cleared?
Again, that gets into the investigative strategy of Delphi, and I'm not going to go there.
Well, you're saying in this situation, I just want to, we want to be apples and apples.
We
here.
received 46,000 tips, Sandra. Comparing apples to apples is appropriate, and I'll accept that. But apples to oranges, I won't. And what you're asking me is to do that. I'm not going to. They're very, very different. From the very beginning, they're very, very, very different. And, they're all, I think we're up to somewhere around 42 or 43,000 tips.
And I get that. I'm not talking about tips. I'm just saying, have the family members in the Delphi case been cleared?
The vast majority of them have, yes.
Well, listen to that silence.
So again,
We're very engaged, and almost all of the, particularly the national media attention that's been brought to this has come from that family, those families of Abby and Libby. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
again, just for clarification purposes, you're saying
What's up,
the
Blind
biggest
Squirrel?
challenge in this case on your guys' end is having those open conversations with family members when people who were at the house that earlier that day or in previous times,
Lamp oil?
right?
Yeah, and that information might not be it, but I think most people would understand that we need it, and we need to understand it.
And some family members, you're saying, some
CJK?
family members as well as people that were at that home haven't been cooperating.
Thank you, Miss
cooperating
Mala.
with you?
I'll just say we need to meet with family members. I'm not going to dissect or bifurcate that family that's trying to endure this terrible loss.
And are those meetings, just on a global sense, are those meetings formal? Is that you come in, is it a statement? I mean, how did?
This
Of
was
course.
in 2022.
Discussion, I mean, on global terms. what does
Generally,
that look like?
those start in more of a discussion, but they would be formal interviews in a criminal investigation. That's part of the process, right? Again, there's very little that we can do, or a little bit that we can do. There's a lot that we can't do, and what we won't do is put somebody in a box that would be inappropriate of us. We're not going to do that.
Questions.
It's been over 2 years. Are you guys any closer to solving this case?
I think that we are continuing to work towards it just as we did 2 years ago, and we'll continue until we come to an end. And I
That's
don't
not
believe
what she
in the
asked
phrase
you.
cold case. I just simply don't believe in them, because when we're done, we start over. And I learned that through all of these years of service when I see such horrible things happen. We don't come to an end if it involves a human life. And what we do is we just simply start over.
Yeah, that's frustrating to watch. He just uses the same talking points over and over and over and over again. Like, I want to respect Doug and I want to like him, but I mean, he tells us time and time again, I'm just here to take the criticism. I'm here to have put on a smile for you, play a part. Also, he's not really part of the investigative team. He's just there for the PR. What's up, Zuzu? Zuzu, I think if you go into the description of the video, you might have a link there, or you may need to go into the browser or a desktop and do it instead of the YouTube app. You can always shoot me an email too at sleuthintuition@gmail.com, and I can help you after the live stream. So I don't know if Galen won the lawsuit, but I believe these are the partners that own the home at the time. Birch Tree Holdings, LLC. You may have heard the name Joshua Ayers. But it looks like there's also Troy Helderman, Damian Davis, Jarrell C. MacDonald Sr., Daniel Travis, Stacy Phillips. So it was Galen Rose versus Birch Tree Holdings. And it's my understanding she won that. I think it had to do with negligence. They weren't keeping the smoke detectors up to date. Something like that. Happy Sunday, Pitbull Mom. Good to see you. CJK, Flora needs to move forward. No one will give it the attention it needs. They need a really good tip is what they need. And if you guys can see the tip line down there, Scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And I thought I had a video here, but they finally came out and publicly stated that, the family is not under any suspicion. It took them a while too. What's up, homie? Homie, don't play that. Yes, Beth. She has since been cleared. I have a couple of other videos here. Let's see. Maybe this is it. This is Rafael Sanchez.
2021, but for one mother, November 2016 will forever, ever be on her mind. This weekend marks 5 years since the fire that killed 4 sisters in Flora in Carroll County. That's 1 hour north of Indianapolis. The girls, Kiana, Cariel, Kiara, and Kiani, they ranged in age from 11 to 5 years old. They died in a house fire on November the 21st, 2016. And this morning, their mother, Galen Rose, is asking for your help to solve the arson
Welcome back, Susan.
that killed her babies, as the family is planning a memorial service for this weekend.
Some days I feel robbed as a mother, to be real honest with you. I feel like my motherhood more like robbed. I feel like my motherhood was robbed from me, from taking care of my children. So I just manage it the best way that I can.
A mother who is grieving, a mother who is demanding answers. This is the poster that remains on the front page of the state police website as we speak. If you have any information about this ongoing case, you're asked to call the tip hotline. You see the number right there. It's 1-800-382-4628. A reward of
I think I have that flyer right here if you guys want to screenshot it. And I believe they removed the reward and gave it to the fire department. So the people that fucked this up from the beginning, I think either they did or they tried to. They tried to, quote unquote, absorb the funds. Welcome back to Member Zuzu. Yeah, I think they're partners in the group that owns it as a rental property. Hey, what's up, Charlotte? Yeah, and I feel like this is one of those cases, Mustang, where only one person really knows. It was late at night. Whoever did this, they may never talk. And what's very strange is it happened like right before the Delphi murders.
Top police officer tells Fox 59 more than 6 years after the Flora fire that killed 4 young girls. This investigation has developed very little information.
Yeah, the fire happened in November of 2016. 4 sisters were killed. Their names were Kiani Welch, Cariel MacDonald, Kiara Phillips, and Kiana Davis. Tonight, our chief investigator, Steve Brown, joins us with his interview with the state police superintendent and a look inside that fire scene that's been declared an arson.
Yeah, Dan and Bearshell. Superintendent Doug Carter sat down with us recently to discuss a totally different topic. But at the end of the interview, he agreed to take some questions about the Flora fire investigation. My first question got a quick, short answer. Is Galen Rose considered a suspect in this case? She is not. That's the first time we've heard that.
I worked hard for my baby.
Rose is the mother of the 4 girls killed in the November 2016 blaze. She has been the subject of persistent rumors in Flora that she may have had a hand in the fire.
there are people up there who. Another of our questions for Superintendent Carter involves the other big Carroll County investigation, the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. We believe you are hiding in plain sight, which happened just 3 months after the Flora fire.
3
Fox
months.
59 has previously reported
Crazy.
that while state police released to the public evidence, audio and video recordings in the Delphi murder investigation to generate tips, the same had not been done in the Flora fire case, which has not yet had an arrest. Investigated that fire. We asked the superintendent why.
Cindy, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a motive right there. So hopefully anybody that would be motivated to pursue that kind of a scam was investigated. You don't need to sit down with family members. It's important to sit down with family members. And I recommend folks who are become victims, get your name off any list, give your blood, give your DNA, take a lie detector test, even give them specific questions, that you're willing to answer. Give them the list. Like, do I know who committed these murders? Specific things like that. But that doesn't mean that they can't go around investigating these other angles.
The different approaches.
The analogy that they're the same, and that was something that was perpetuated by your story, is just simply inaccurate. That's not true.
Deflecting
That's
constantly.
Connecting an arson with very little information to a homicide that's developed over 80,000 tips it's an unfair analogy or an unfair comparison between the two.
But people up there see them as similar. They're horrible events resulting in deaths of young girls.
We can't make things.
Yeah, for all we know, the crimes are connected. I mean, I don't see anything that's connecting the two, but all I know is that, and we'll talk about the MacDonald Triad and arson being a gateway crime. I mean, how do we know that these aren't connected murders? They happened within 3 months. I mean, it happened in between Richard Allen's stressor period, right? September, and then the February murders. How do we know that they're not connected? We're talking about 13 miles that separate Flora and Delphi. It's just a thought. I mean, there's something for the investigation to look into and, remove it from the table.
Things happen. We can't make people talk to us.
The person investigators would like to talk to is Galen Rose. We're told she has answered some state police questions, but has not made herself available for a formal interview for some time. Rose over the phone recently told me that's true, and she guessed it's been years since she's spoken to the state police. Now, early on in the investigation, the fire was classified as an arson. Former ATF fire investigator Mike Vergon agrees.
We look at every potential ignition source.
Vergon runs a private fire investigation business.
Yeah, Cindy, I don't think that an insurance scam would benefit the renters. It would only benefit the homeowners. So yeah, I mean, it was clear what you meant.
Discovery of the smoke.
For me,
he was hired to look into the Flora fire by attorneys for Galen Rose, who's filed a wrongful death suit against the home's owners. Inside the deeply charred apartment, Vergon looked for clues on how the fire started and for smoke detectors.
We found one.
And can you tell us where you found it?
That was in the second level of the residence, on a landing actually, and there was no battery in it. The condition this was in, there should have been a battery still in it if the battery had been present.
State law requires every dwelling
yeah, that's
to
upsetting,
have at least
Hiawatha.
one functional smoke detector. For rental properties, that's the responsibility of the owner, manager, or rental agent. Hunting for the source of the fire, Vergon took a long look at the kitchen where the fire damage was intense.
Looking at patterns.
Getting extra attention by Vergon, appliances, the range, the refrigerator.
We look at the fire patterns in relation to the damage on the cords. Is there insulation left on the cords? Is there no insulation left on the cords?
But the cords were in good shape. The source of the fire, not electrical. Maybe the most important information cited in Vergon's report is from the man who first rushed into the smoke-filled building, Adam Ayers.
He was there first before the police or the fire department. First person to go in the house other than.
So one of the homeowners is the first person on the scene. I'm not here to accuse anybody. I'm just saying in most of the arson cases that have been solved, it's usually the first person that's on the scene, and most times it's actually somebody that's part of the fire department, right? They're trying to present themselves as a hero, and in some cases even create overtime and things like that. But they'll start the fire, they'll wait a short time, and then they'll be the first ones on the scene, right? Hey, I'm a hero. So I find that a little bit suspicious. And also, I think before they called 911, folks were calling the homeowners. So that might be why he was there first. I just don't know why that happened. I don't know why you would call the homeowner or the manager, the rental manager, before you would call 911. Very strange.
And the family.
Ayers, a neighbor, told investigators he crawled into the dining room to get to the stairs leading to the girls' upstairs bedroom. But in the nearby kitchen, he saw a 2-inch wide path of fire on the floor that led into the back porch area.
So he got a pretty good view and described it in detail.
Okay, that was what I was referring to. Let's go back on that. So this definitely takes some suspicion away from him, for him being honest. He's not going to give that information if he's the one that did it, unless that's why he's providing that information, so that he doesn't look guilty. Maybe he knows that they'll just eventually discover that.
To get to the stairs leading to the girls' upstairs bedroom. But in the nearby kitchen, he saw a 2-inch wide path of fire on the floor that led into the back porch area.
So he got a pretty good view and described it in detail.
Did anybody else see this other than him?
No, he's the only one.
The combination of the narrow trail of flame and burn patterns found in and near the back porch were critical in Vergon's conclusion.
We came to our determination that it was a set fire.
How confident are you that that fire was intentionally set?
100% confident.
Now, while Superintendent Carter describes the Flora criminal investigation as having very little information to go on, he insists it's still an active investigation. Also, Galen Rose's civil suit, a federal civil suit against the owners of the Flora home where her children died, is expected to begin later this year. Steve Brown.
Yeah, I think that's concluded. I think she did win that lawsuit. Good to see you, Pitbull Mom. Mustang, I wish I could remote view. We did a live stream about remote viewing on Chan too. Very interesting. Hey, Caricature. I've never understood why the girls in Flora haven't been more in the news. As soon as they said arson, it should have been. The problem with these cases, when it comes to Delphi, they had that creepy video, right? The guy walking on the bridge, and then they had the audio. That's what drags people into this. It's terrifying. So what they need is they need a good tip here. They need some kind of video footage, somebody fleeing somewhere nearby. I just hope they've checked every camera possible in the area. They need to do another press conference so people can ask them those questions. Yeah, that's true, Hiawatha. So how do we know? How do we know? I know that the defense team for Richard Allen pointed the finger at Patrick Westfall. And he told me, yeah, I lived right up the street when it happened. My girls went to school with them. But he really didn't know much about it. Not everybody's into true crime like we are, I have a list of the first responders right here as well. Take a look at that. You guys can screenshot it if you want. So these are the people who are asking I think this is part of their payroll for that day. Robert Batiste, Drew Yoder. I think Drew was the one that actually received, he was burned. He was severely burned. Galen was severely burned. I believe if they would have had that fire truck that showed up and, extended the ladder up, broken out the glass, I think they could have saved those girls. I don't know. That's just my opinion. We're going to watch the dash cam. It's very disturbing. So if you guys want to skip out on that, I understand. But I think it's very important to show how bad they fucked up. I don't know how else to put it. Let's see. Derek Eikenberry, Ethan Glasskeck, Jack Hayes, Justin Hayes, Jeremy Hayes. The whole damn family. Ivan Garber, Dwayne Pirtle, Adam Randall, Eric Randall, Jeff Schumann, Michael Titus, Todd Trent, Wayne Benedict. I think these are all first responders. This is part of the autopsy report. Anatomic findings, thermal burn injury with number 1, soot inhalation, nasopharynx and oropharynx. I think that's nose and eyes. Don't quote me. Soot deposition on skin of body, cherry red discoloration of heart blood, full thickness burns of skin of right ear, right arm, right thigh, left heel. No evidence of blunt force or sharp force trauma. Toxicology, vitreous heart blood, AIT for toxicology, carbon monoxide level, toxicology negative, carbon monoxide 54% of hemoglobin. Cause of death, asphyxia due to inhalation of soot. It's an absolute nightmare. They need to find who lit that fire. Somebody has to answer for this. Let's go to some of the photos here that I've collected. Pitbull Mom with the Scrub Report, 47 watching, only 32 likes. Yeah, make sure you guys like this video. Go share it. Go share it on your X feed, your YouTube channel, your Facebook. Tamara says, what was the owner doing there at that time of night? I believe that they called him. I think the neighbors called him. Like, why are you not calling 9? Why the hell? What the hell is the homeowner going to do? Crazy to me. I don't get that. Those people to me are suspicious. You know, you want to talk about a person of interest. Whoever called the homeowner, if I was investigating this crime, I would look at them. Like, what the fuck are you doing? How are your priorities so screwed up? And why are you so interested in what the homeowner's thinking? There's almost like a motivation there, right? So I would look at those folks. I hate to say that, but I mean, if they're going to bring up, not being able to talk to the family, what about that strangeness? Why would you call the homeowner instead of 911? And why do you give a shit about what the homeowner thinks? Have you been talking with him? Are you upset about your neighbors? Is it racially motivated? I mean, that's very strange to me. I'm going to call it how I see it. Yep, local fire department ruled it accidental. Peers from Indianapolis came in and proved arson. Yeah, and why would they prove, or why would they say it was accidental when the guy that ran in there, who I believe was one of the owners of the property, he said he saw a line of fire leading from the garage. And that kind of goes over to what Blind Squirrel was saying. Yeah, it could have been, maybe somebody being careless, didn't know that they had spilt some kind of accelerant there, and for whatever reason it lit on fire. But it would be nice for them to let us know what type of accelerant it was. I don't know, I just feel like they're not investigating this case. A lot of questions. And I think that would be my first question is, why did the neighbor, who was wide awake out on the front steps, why is she calling the homeowner and not 911? Where's her interview? What's her explanation for that? Pretty strange, guys. That is the grandfather of one of the girls. And Galen's father. Or the grandfather of the girls, I'm sorry. Galen won $1 million from the insurance company for punitive damages. Good. If you're so concerned with the house, very frustrating. I'm going to try to keep my emotions out of it, because then I start to ramble and. Yep, Yoder. Welcome in, Cindy Lean. How are you? Hello, Audra. If the firefighters would have gotten off their asses when Yoder came in screaming. Yeah, why is he having to leave the scene of the crime to go bang on the door? Like, what? And no accountability. Put yourself in this position. Your house is on fire. You can't get to your children. And this is what's going on. And then they go ahead and take the reward money. Like, oh, well, the reason that, our response time was so horrible is we need more funding. We need the reward money. That'll keep this from happening again in the future. Well, finding out who committed the murder will keep this from happening. You guys need to get your shit in order separately. But you can't take away the motivation from creating tips and generating tips. That doesn't help. Thank you, Audra. Yeah, Mustang. I mean, at least to clear them, right? Maybe check, get their cell phone, check all the data, do data forensics on the cell phone, check their laptop and their computers. Maybe they spoke of it. Maybe there was something that indicated a motive. I mean, I don't understand what the hell's going on here. And that's just my own opinion, whatever it's worth. Also across the street, you had the Pizza King. You remember that guy who got arrested for, I think, child molestation? Did they question him? Was he trying to cover up his crimes? We've seen that happen before. Was he trying to kill one of the girls? It's a good idea, CJK. Yeah, Cindy, I had a lot of fun. Galen is a great person. Was very, it was, the pleasure was all on my side. She's wonderful. Cindy says the main question is why not release the 911 call? What could have been said to jeopardize the investigation? Or does it point to somebody that kind of showed guilt? Was there something said in the background? I don't know. Maybe it's time for us to put in our own FOIA request. I'm going to look into that after the stream, see what we can do. I know a lot of people have tried, but what could it hurt? Tamara says the reward money going to the same fire department that failed these precious girls makes me sick. Yeah, and I kind of get what they're trying to say. Like, hey, if we had more funding, this wouldn't have happened. I mean, there were people there. It shouldn't have taken Yoder to leave the scene of the crime, burnt with burns on his head and coughing. And then even when he gets there, he's like, there's people inside. And they're like, oh, yeah, really? And you guys are going to see it for yourself. We're going to play that video now. And like I said, it's very disturbing and hard to watch. Somebody needs to put a lot of cash towards this. Somebody knows, hey, my brother, my sister, my cousin, my aunt, my uncle, they left late at night, came back, smelled like kerosene or had made threats, or didn't like them for whatever reason. And they've been acting very suspicious. It's going to take motivation for those folks to come forward. CJK, I've always wondered if the pedo started the fire. Well, the oldest girl, I believe, was 12 or 13. So I always wondered if that was a motivation. The Pizza King is literally right across the street from their home. And that was breaking news when he got arrested. He was like sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl or something like that. Was that angle ever investigated? Arson is a gateway crime. Whoever killed Abby and Libby, did they kill these 4 girls using arson as the method of murder? Only to graduate to more of a hands-on? I mean, it's not likely, right? But I mean, are these angles even being investigated? It's something to do. Yep. And that's why a lot of these psychotic killers use arson as a gateway crime. It's not very hands-on, but they can kind of light this fire and step back and watch it all play out, right? They get to see the sirens and the bright lights. And they get to see their handiwork play out right in front of them. It's all about control. Stephanie, good to see you. Wasn't there a suspicious car in the back alley? That I don't know. Yeah, fear. You need to motivate these people. Somebody knows. Somebody knows that their husband, brother, family member, whoever, maybe made threats. Maybe let it slip out. Maybe they're a pyro. Maybe they've been breaking into people's homes and talking about murder or racial attacking people based on race. And they live right there. One good piece of information will lead to another, is my point. I agree, Cindy. Hey, thank you, Tamara. I appreciate you. Thank you for sponsoring the live stream. It helps. In the video, it was disorganized, not enough responders. No one just ran in to save them. They were still alive. Yeah, and they started doing things that they shouldn't have done, in my opinion. They started breaking out windows, which it was like creating fuel for the fire. And honestly, just a nice tall ladder, maybe up to the back window where the girls were, break that out, might have helped. I don't know. I mean, hindsight is always 20/20, but when you see this dash cam footage, you're going to understand a little bit more what I'm talking about. Yeah, we're going to look at some other cases too and see if somehow we can glean information. I try to find a few other cases throughout the country that were very similar to this. And it could have been an accident. It could have been something to do with the insurance. It could have been somebody just trying to scare them, trying to get them out of the house. It could have been an accident and nobody's coming forward. So, I mean, I believe one woman did come forward with some info about her son, but it apparently didn't pan out. Kev has done an extreme amount of work on this case. That's very interesting. Yeah, this gives me the feel of a gateway crime or an accident that's gone wrong. You know, I just wanted to scare them or, you know, not quite sure. So here's some photographs from inside the home. I believe that's the stairway up to the bedrooms. Extremely. I think somewhere in this rubble is a smoke detector. That might be it right here. Burned, no batteries. Hey, Lisa. Sandollar, how you doing? The policy had a liability coverage for the dwelling in the amount of $392,000 and went into effect on September 15th. Yeah, I'm curious, is there anybody here that has not seen the dash cam? Either way, we're going to watch it. It's important. Thank you, Hiawatha. Thank you, Mustang. See, at one point they had it up to 9,000. I believe this is the back of the home. And I think the fire, that line of fire that was reported is coming through a back door that is that you can enter in from the garage. I could be wrong. Or maybe the side. It looks like that's the side of the home, not the back. Yeah, so here's a warning, you guys. It's really hard to watch.
Stay up. Go upstairs. Dust your teeth. Dust your teeth. Hot. Down. County. Send Cutler fire as well. Get Cutler fire in route as well. Yeah. Where are the kids? Upstairs. Where's the stickers? Stay around the corner to the left. Josh. I can tell. Guys, the next as well. Josh, you good? Josh, you good? I'm good. You good? I can't tell, man. I can't tell. And then we get. Can we bust the window up?
So you can hear him. He says, "Josh, Josh."
Yeah, you go around the corner. Please. Let's go. Go around the corner. Keep going. Stop that. Oh. Oh my.
Welcome in, Ashley.
Guys, send tones. Keep sending off tones, please. We still got 4 kids inside. We can't get inside. Look their back. Look at foot. Hey, we need to roll, dude. There's people inside.
He said, "We need to fucking roll. There's people
I don't
inside."
do anything right now, dude. I know. My car's out here. We need to roll those. Cool. Hey, they're coming. They're right here, dude. They're right here. They're coming. We have an engine? They have an air pack.
All right, thanks.
Run in there, Joe.
What's up, Frank? Exactly, Miss Dog Lover. Didn't seem like the smartest thing to do. Okay, just a few more things I wanted to cover. Let's see here. This is from the U.S. Department of Justice. Arson, mental illness versus profession. Since understanding the traits of the mentally ill, pyromaniac, and the paid professional, torch will aid in the detection and the apprehension of the arsonist. The arson investigator should recognize the personalities and motives of fire setters. There are many types of persons involved in the setting of fires. A firebug sets a series of fires regardless of motivation. The professional torch sets fires to receive compensation. Almost like a hired hit, it sounds. Pyromaniac is an indefinite term involving legal, psychological, and environmental aspects. Pyromania is defined as an overpowering desire to set fires. Persons who commit arson for profit are the most rapidly increasing group of fire setters. Profiles of arsonists who set fires for fraud appear to be based on an insignificant number of known offenders. Presumably, arson for profit is a rational act and is therefore not of great interest from a psychological standpoint. The professional torch is also motivated by money, but is characterized by the antisocial personality with a pathological sense of confidence, impulsiveness, and lack of guilt or anxiety. The professional torch often works alone and is frequently a repeat offender. Several terms are used to describe the pathological fire setter or pyromaniac. Pyromaniacs are motivated by psychological needs such as revenge, spite, power, just like Delphi, right? And anger. They are often products of broken homes, loners, and have histories of mental illness. Some studies have shown that pyromaniacs are compelled to set fires because of personality disorders, usually sexual deviancy. Pyromaniacs are not rational. They set fires even while being watched by investigators. A 9-entry bibliography of 23 footnotes are provided in the article. So we'll try to get our mind into the mind of an arsonist. The psychology of psychology of arsonists, understanding motives and behaviors. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Ashley. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I went to breakfast with my wife this morning. Tamara says a firebug at work. I think so, right? Or maybe even somebody that was hired or motivated by money. I don't know, Stephanie. I often wonder. This was right in the time frame of Richard Allen's quote unquote stressors. Arson is a gateway crime, So if we're dealing with the serial killer, and if Richard Allen is the bridge guy, this fits, into the same time frame of his beginning of his stressors in September of 2016. You have the November Flora murders, and then in February, a short period of time later, you have the Delphi murders. So I think it is possible. It's a nice name. Yeah, it's very interesting, Charlotte. Arson, the deliberate act of setting fires with malicious intent, remains a perplexing crime that often eludes straightforward explanations. To delve into the minds of arsonists, understanding their motives and behaviors, becomes a crucial endeavor in fire investigation. This exploration, while rooted in psychology, is also guided by established reference such as NFPA 921 and NFPA 1033, alongside other recognized publications. Sorry, guys, a little tongue twisted there. Within the field of fire investigation, the enigmatic arsonist unraveling motives. Arsonists aren't a homogeneous group. Their motives are as diverse as the fires they set. A foundational document in fire investigation is the NFPA 921. Emphasizes the need to comprehend the psychological aspects of fire setting incidents, from financial gain and revenge to thrill seeking and psychological distress. The motives behind arson often intertwine with complex personal, emotional, or situational factors. The expertise in understanding behavior. The NFPA 1033 delineates the professional qualifications for fire investigators, acknowledging the importance of understanding behavioral patterns in arson cases. This document underlines the need for investigators to possess knowledge about criminal behavior, motivation, and the psychological aspects that drive arsonists. A testament to the significance of psychological insight in fire investigation. The mindset of an arsonist, a psychological exploration. Psychological studies indicate that arsonists might exhibit various behavioral traits, including impulsivity, the history of childhood trauma or neglect, and sometimes underlying mental health disorders. These insights, echoed in fire investigation publications, highlight the intricate interplay between psychological vulnerabilities and the propensity for arson. Behavioral red flags and patterns. Fire investigation literature often underscores the identification of behavioral red flags that might precede arson. The persistent fascination with fire, a history of fire-related offenses, or a pattern of antisocial behavior are among the markers that investigators are trained to recognize. These patterns cited in fire investigation publications aid in profiling and identifying potential arsonists. So we're basically trying to profile the Flora killer. Motivational theories in arson cases. Fight for Justice says, I'm glad you're covering this, Luth. You may recall very early on concern these Flora and Delphi's are. Yeah, I don't see why I think it's worth exploring. For sure. I'm not 100% that Flora and Delphi aren't connected, but the fact is there were quite a few fires in that area. Yep, and we're going to get into one of those pyromaniacs that was recently arrested in Kokomo. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that case. Good to see you, Jari. Shout out to the replay crew. Yeah, we have very limited time, but we're going to be covering this case quite a bit. Probably every Sunday until the trial's over. If time permits. Hey, kitty cat. Eyes on the road, kitty. Eyes on the road. Yes, it is actually, Charlotte. Slumlord. Yep, maybe it didn't even matter. Thank you, Jari. Thank you, Mustang. Oh, geez. Okay, motivational theories in arson cases. Various theories attempt to explain the motive behind arson, from the pathological fire setting to the expressive violence theory. Fire investigation publications often cite these frameworks to contextualize the diverse motives driving arsonists. Understanding these theories equips investigators with the lens to interpret the motives and behavioral aspects of fire setting incidents. The role of psychological profiling. Drawing from reference in fire investigation literature, psychological profiling emerges as a tool to create a behavioral profile of potential arsonists. Profiling techniques help investigators anticipate an arsonist's actions, motivations, and potential targets. However, it's imperative to note that profiling is not foolproof and is often utilized in conjunction with other investigative methods. Challenges in psychological profiling. While psychological profiling can provide valuable insights, it's not without challenges. The dynamic nature of human behavior, the diversity of arsonist profiling, and the potential for biases underscore the complexity of psychological profiling in fire investigation, as cited in fire investigation publications. Conclusion: deciphering the arsonist's mind. Understanding the psychology of arsonists is an ongoing pursuit, shaped by the insight provided in reference such as NFPA 921, NFPA 1033. Those are publications. And diverse fire investigation publications. While these references offer frameworks and guidelines, the intricate human psyche remains a puzzle, challenging fire investigators to continually evolve their understanding of the motives and behaviors that drive arson. In the quest to unravel the complexities of arson, psychology stands as a key to unlocking the enigmatic minds behind these intentional fires. So we talked a little bit about the MacDonald Triad. So I thought this was a great article here. I think this was from A&E. It's by Crystal Ponte. True crime blog, stories and news. Predicting a serial killer is the MacDonald Triad fact or myth? Here you got a photo. Edmund Kemper, who is charged with the killing of 8 persons, including his mother, is shown in this October 12, 1973 photo. At his preliminary hearing, the hearing took place at Santa Cruz County Superior Court. Photo credited to Bettman contributor. Getty Images. Between 1964 and 1973, Edmund Kemper brutally murdered 10 people, including his paternal grandparents, mother, and his mother's best friend. The other victims were female college students, whom he abducted and dismembered before performing sex acts on their corpses and hiding their remains in wooded areas. Kemper turned himself over to authorities in April of 1973. On November 8 that same year, a jury found the co-ed killer guilty of 8 counts of first-degree murder. He received 8 consecutive life sentences. From prison, Kemper anticipated in numerous interviews with psychiatrists and members of law enforcement. He divulged extensive details about his tumultuous childhood and crimes to former FBI Special Agent John Douglas and Bob Ressler and Boston College professor Ann Burgess. Among other disturbing behaviors, Kemper confessed to torturing and killing cats as a child and putting their dismembered remains in his closet. Douglas, Ressler, and Burgess used the information Kemper provided to build on the MacDonald Triad, a theory once heavily cited in the profiling of future serial killers. The origins and evolution of the MacDonald Triad. Criminal motivation remained mostly a mystery until 1963, when forensic psychiatrist John MacDonald published a paper titled The Threat to Kill. In addition to a pattern showing great parental brutality and extreme maternal seduction, MacDonald identified animal cruelty, fire setting, and a persistent bedwetting in childhood as predictive factors of future aggression and violent behavior in adults, particularly a tendency towards committing homicide or serial murder. The latter 3 behaviors became the basis of the MacDonald Triad, also known as the Triad of Sociopathy or the Homicidal Triad. MacDonald developed his theory based on clinical observations of a small homogeneous group. The subjects included 48 psychotic patients and 52 non-psychotic patients who had threatened to kill someone. None had acted on his or her threats. MacDonald claimed that the most sadistic and aggressive individuals he studied exhibited some form of the three behaviors in childhood. Overnight, the triad became a major talking point in the fields of forensics and psychology. Researchers included Douglas, Ressler, and Burgess conducted widely cited follow-up studies that seemed to support the MacDonald Triad, especially when two or more behaviors presented. Folks stuck onto these three behaviors that can happen in childhood. Then the FBI picked up on it, and it kind of took on a life of its own. Corey Ryan, an assistant professor of behavioral sciences at Fitchburg State University, who has studied the MacDonald Triad extensively, tells A&E True Crime, and I quote, "But it turns out that the MacDonald Triad was like a game of telephone, a really long game of academic telephone. Debunked, but still popular." The MacDonald Triad is a mainstay in pop culture and still cited by criminologists, but there is limited empirical support for the MacDonald Triad, which MacDonald Triad to explain in a follow-up paper refuting his own theory. Of the few mostly anecdotal, independent studies that critically examine MacDonald's original work, many lack the science and evidence to definitively support his theory. People keep debunking it because it's one of those things where it makes sense on the outset, but then when you put everything together, there are a few missing pieces. Judy Ho, a clinical and forensic psychologist, tells A&E True Crime. Evidence shows that any one of the triad behaviors, when isolated, could be associated with future aggression and serial offenses, including serial murder. But it is rare to find all three behaviors together as predictors. When you look at individuals who commit crimes, especially serial crimes, you sometimes see these early childhood factors, like cruelty to animals and obsession with fire setting, Ho explains. These are actually associated with what we commonly define as a psychopath, or for psychologists, we call it antisocial personality disorder. The most strongly correlated with future violence based on extensive research is extreme cruelty to animals. Not curious kids pulling legs off spiders, but senseless and brutal killings like dismembering family pets, cruelty to animals, especially at a very young age. Like a 5 or 6-year-old knowing how to decapitate a cat often shows that there's something beyond environmental for these children. Something biological, perhaps, like a missing sensitivity chip, says Ho. The piece of the MacDonald Triad that makes the least sense is persistent bedwetting, a common childhood behavior. Persistent bedwetting can be really common in boys until they're much older. It can be related to other issues like ADHD, says Ryan, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything in isolation. Together or alone, the triad behaviors can indicate that a child has dysfunctional home environment, poor coping mechanisms, or a developmental disability. It might also mean they are suffering severe trauma from physical, sexual, or emotional abuse or neglect. These are more significant risk factors for a child developing into an adult who engages in criminal activity or exhibits violent behavior. It's important that concerned parents or caregivers have a child professionally evaluated, Ryan says. Just because a child exhibits one or more of these behaviors doesn't mean they'll grow up to be a serial killer. So I think that was very relevant. Okay, let me catch up on the chat, and then we're going to talk about arsonist Joseph W. Smith out of Kokomo. Hey, badass. No, I think they all had separate fathers. I think so, Charlotte. I think being an arsonist is kind of like you fantasize about killing, fantasize about murder, but you're and most killers are, they're cowards, but it's more of a cowardly way of doing it. I think it would be harder to, burn somebody purposely that So I feel like through the eyes of a coward, they would it would be easier to do it to somebody that they weren't familiar with. But that's just my untrained opinion. I don't know, badass. I kind of got the hint that that's what Carter was trying to say. Like the family members that he was unable to communicate with may have been the fathers. But I don't even know if they lived around or if that was a motivation. I don't know. I've never seen a case or found a case where that was where that happened. Yep, Tamara, that would be a psychopath. Thank you, Jari. There was a few for sure. Brandon's gone. Guess he's got multiple accounts. We'll just ban them all. Bedwetting, arson, and hurting animals. Yep, the MacDonald Triad. Yeah, don't even pay attention. Just block them. Okay, let's look into this Joseph W. Smith out of Kokomo.
Kokomo are relieved that police say they've arrested a man suspected of starting several fires there.
The suspect is now facing a slew of charges. Karen Campbell reports from Howard County and shares what led police to the suspect.
Yeah, this is just one home that Kokomo police say Joseph Smith intentionally set on fire. Now, according to court documents, it was Smith's girlfriend who saw a Facebook video of the suspected arsonist, and she noticed a resemblance. Now, she also told police that he sent her text messages stating, quote, "Told you I'd burn this expletive down." 48 hours of fires in Kokomo.
I don't know,
48
Boston.
hours of terror for a community. Kokomo police say a tip led them to 29-year-old Joseph Smith in connection to the fires. Fires that began just before 2 a.m. August 10th, lighting up homes, vehicles, and garages, all in an 8-block radius. Neighbor Doug Clark says he's happy police finally made an arrest.
A lot of people were concerned, a little upset.
Hey, necessary evil.
But this is a small town, so it's got that atmosphere that
I
if
agree.
something happens here, it kind of affects everybody.
Now, neighbors here say the good thing is that no one was injured in any of these fires. Now, Smith is due in court on Thursday. In Kokomo, Karen Campbell, 13 News.
Hey, Growing Crazy. Good to see you. No worries. No worries. Let's see. This is the gentleman here that was arrested for the Kokomo fires, Joseph W. Smith Jr. So I wonder if he was questioned in relation to the Flora murders. He was caught on CCTV. I'll have to go back and look when we're done here. Lisa says crazy eyes. Crooked ass eyes. This one's like looking over that way. Very dark, huh? Some of the damage he caused. His charges: arson, damage by fire, property of another were pecuniarily lost in at least property of another under circumstances that endanger. I mean, he's lucky he didn't kill somebody. I was going to go over a few other cases, but we are out of time. But if you guys want to go check them out, one was the Plant City, Florida fire. This was caused by a young man. I think he was a teenager. He may have been like, I don't know, like 17 or 18. And he started the fire because he wanted to go live with his dad. And he didn't mean to kill the folks that were living in the home. Ended up killing 4 people. And then you have the Livingston fire. So if you guys want to go check those out, they might give you a little bit of insight. All right, guys. Thanks again for hanging out. Feel free to send me an email or any information relating to this case. We'll continue to cover it whenever we get the opportunity. Shout out to the replay crew. And all of you who continue to support my channel, all of you members, all of you mods, all of my subscribers, and those of you who continue to donate to the Cash App and the Venmo, thank you. You make this possible. A big shout out to our new member of the Sleuth Crew, Tamara. Zuzu, welcome back. And also thanks for the super sticker, Tamara. All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up. Like I said, if you guys need to get a hold of me, just shoot me an email, sleuthintuition@gmail.com. You got it, Growing Crazy. Cindy Lean. Thank you for that. Thanks for the positive words. Tamara, appreciate you. Welcome. Take care, badass. Everybody enjoy your Sunday. We will be back at about 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for Delphi coverage. So don't miss that. Yeah, I've had a chance to speak with Galen personally. She's wonderful. All righty, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Like I said, I'll see you again tomorrow morning. You guys be safe, okay? Peace out.